Is this thing on? Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre, it's TC, everybody. It is 6 o'clock on the East Coast of America on September 15th, 2025. Welcome to Rock This Town Live. We are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, and that is 3 on the West Coast. And then, of course, you can always watch the show live, well, like right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Or you can catch it anytime you want. Just kind of rewind, find the post on Facebook or YouTube. And then, of course, there's the infamous Spotify. You can watch the audio or the video, and then Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. What's going on in the big show today? A couple of things to talk about. Not a lot of news today. We'll talk a little Aerosmith, talk a little Iron Maiden, and talk a little bit about country music. Apparently is quite popular in the United States, at least according to Google Trends. And rock actually has some popularity out on the West Coast. But we shall see. And battle of the day. The throwdown of the day is kind of an insane one. Marilyn Manson versus our friends and Huey Lewis and the News. Very nice. I'll also go over the top 6 records, in my humble opinion, from 1983. And it does include a Huey Lewis record, of course, because it has to. And then what else should I talk about today? Oh, we'll have new vinyl announcements. Not a lot going on there. Concert announcements, some pretty cool stuff. Duran Duran coming to Phoenix. So very cool from Jen's perspective, my perspective. And then we'll do our, last but not least, we'll relive the past. And let's do that now. Let's start by reliving the past. This comes to us from... Well, let me move this over here for just 1 second. This comes from, what is this, oh my God, I think this was like 1991, if memory serves. No, 2001, sorry. I don't think Slipknot, Papa Roach, Linkin Park were around in 1991. This comes to us from 2001. This is a show in Toronto, Ozfest. Black Sabbath was headlining Ozfest that year. Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, the classic lineup going out. Very nice. Marilyn Manson. Ooh, that's kind of sexy. Ties in with our throwdown today between Marilyn and Huey Lewis. Slipknot, not too shabby. Papa Roach, very cool. Linkin Park was actually, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth on the bill. Would they be number 1 on the bill now? Well, yes, because Ozzy's no longer with us, but if it was 2 years ago, would they still be number 1 on the bill? Yeah, Black Sabbath would be. Disturbed also on the bill. Crazy Town, remember them? Is that the Butterfly Band? Be my little baby, my butterfly, or something like that. Anyways, I don't know, but whatever. There you go. That is, that's the lineup for Ozfest back in 2001. If I could see one of those bands, have I ever seen any of these bands? I have never seen any of these bands. Black Sabbath is a really cool band, but I don't know if, like in their heyday, I don't know if I'd really care to see them, all due respect. Linkin Park in their heyday, yeah, maybe. Marilyn Manson, I guess, is kind of still in his heyday, ironically. So Marilyn's out there still doing it. Slipknot, Papa Roach, Crazy Town. I would probably have to go Linkin Park for me. I don't know if you have an opinion on which band that you would love to see in their heyday, if you could transport back in time, whether it's time travel like Marty McFly and Company and Back to the Future, or whether it's some sort of augmented reality and AI. I would probably travel back in time to see Linkin Park when Chester was still with us, probably after the second record came out, I would say, Meteora. I would probably want to see them on that tour. So Black Sabbath and Marilyn Manson would be cool. The rest of the bands, well, maybe not Crazy Town, all due respect to Crazy Town. Anyways, if you have a favorite, let me know. I am going to check the chat because I must always check the chat. Otherwise, the children will be upset if you don't check the chat. It's like that When a Stranger Calls movie from the late 70s. I always do that bit. It always falls flat on its face, but it is what it is. Hey, Beat After Beat, good to see you today. Very, very nice. Jen hanging out with us as well. That is super cool. And that is very, 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 very nice, as they say. All right, let's get to some news here. Let me move this over here. Map showing, this comes from Mental Floss. I haven't been to Mental Floss in like probably 10, 15 years. But today I visited Mental Floss. So congratulations to the writers and editors at Mental Floss on getting me to visit the site. So a map shows the most search music genres by state, with one genre dominating. This is according to Google Trends. So let's just scroll on down and see which genre of music is dominating. And there you go. Number one throughout the country is country music, which seems kind of, I don't know how I'll have to dig into this article, but it just seems really hard to believe. But maybe here's something. Google is in some ways becoming a dinosaur, at least when it comes to search. How do young people find stuff that they want? It may not be via Google. It may be via ChatGPT or Grok or another AI service out there. Or it could be they just find links from friends and stuff, and that's how they find information instead of using Google. So this might skew older. That's why pop music isn't even really on the charts at all. And there's no states that come up as pop music, which is clearly the biggest genre of music still out there in the US. But anyways, this says country music is number one in Google search trends. On the West Coast, you got to give it to Rhode Island over here on the right side, and then Washington, Nevada, and California. Rock is number one. Very nice. And hip hop is still doing pretty well in, what is that would be? That would be North Carolina. That would be New York, New Jersey, and I have no idea what state that is down there. I could probably figure it out here. That would be hip hop. I'm looking for stuff in the information there, but I'm not finding it anyway. So there you go. What were the metrics for this? Let me see. They really don't say. To determine each state's favorite genre, Google Trends examine music-related search queries. Yeah, like I said, I don't think young people use search. I mean, if you're part of Gen Z or even Gen Alpha, I don't think you're using Google Search. Google Search is about to become the MySpace of the internet. It may take another 10 years, but I think it's eventually going to happen with the way AI is taking over. So yeah, anyways, there you go. It says rock is number one for most of the West Coast, as well as Nevada, Rhode Island, Connecticut. Oh, Connecticut. All right, Connecticut. Very nice. There you might find iconic bands such as the Beatles, Led Zeppelin. Meanwhile, Hawaii, New Jersey. Well, I forgot Hawaii and New Jersey. New York, Maryland, and Virginia. Oh, that's Maryland there. Okay. Prefer hip hop, like Notorious B.I.D. and B.I.G., not B.I.D. Okay. And Tupac Shakur. So I don't know. There you go. Anyways, kind of interesting. Maybe not as well. So I don't know. Aerosmith and Youngblood are teasing a collaboration. Of course, they were at the Grammys about a week ago. Apparently the Emmys was last night. I missed that. I was gonna watch the Emmys, but I decided to shave my head with a cheese grater while chewing on tinfoil, and I made the right decision. I definitely made the right decision. But if you remember from a week previous, Aerosmith and Youngblood kind of, or Stephen Perry, Joe Perry and Steven Tyler hooked up with, not in that way. Come on. They hooked up with Youngblood on a musical excellence parodiere, and did a little bit of, what was it, Mama I'm Coming Home. So apparently they're, let's see, Aerosmith and Youngblood have teased a new collaboration titled Only My Angel after an initial joint performance. I hope this isn't another Aerosmith ballad. I can't deal with any more of the Aerosmith ballads. I'm tired of them. You know, it's been 30 years of Aerosmith ballads. I know I'm embellishing there, but I love it when they rock, man, because Aerosmith is one of the greatest rock bands of all time. So we shall see what happens. I'm guessing we're going to get it pretty quick if they're teasing it already. So maybe as early as this Friday. So I hope Joe Perry pushes Steven Tyler out of the way and says, we're going to guitar this mofo and make it sexy. And Steven's like, yeah. Exactly. It'd be fantastic. Speaking of singing, baby, how about this from Stereo Gum? Very nice. I've never been to Stereo Gum probably in like 10 years either. So Mental Floss and Stereo Gum, it's your day to celebrate. Iron Maiden vocalist extraordinaire Bruce Dickinson apparently yesterday at the Steelers and Seahawks game in Pittsburgh sung the national anthem. All right, Bruce. Of course, Bruce is from, where does Iron Maiden hail from? I think Iron Maiden hails, let's see if I know. They don't hail from Birmingham. Let's see. I don't think they do. That's actually Duran Duran and Black Sabbath. Def Leppard hailed from Sheffield, England. Liverpool, of course, home of the Beatles. Maiden, where the hell do they hail from? I guess I'm going to find out here in just a second. Let me look. They come out of, wait for it. I'm looking for it. Leighton, East London. I would have never guessed that in a million years. So anyways, but pretty cool that Bruce Dickinson doing the national anthem. A little rock representation. Very, very nice. The Seahawks actually did win, though. They upset Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, unfortunately, which is kind of a surprise in some ways. The Seahawks won with Sammy Darnold as their new quarterback. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers now playing in Pittsburgh. I think that was a pretty good signing by the Steelers. They got nothing to lose, right? Might as well go for it in some ways. A couple football games on the docket tonight, Monday Night Football. I think the Raiders and the Chargers play. And then I know there's one other game, too, that's probably already underway. So anyways, there you go, football back. And that is the news for today. Let me jump down and check the chat here as I click out of there. There it goes. And we'll move this over here so I can say hello again. Hey, James. Oh, there you go. James is giving his review of Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap came out this past weekend. I should look that up on Rotten Tomatoes. Not so much the critics, because the critics are stupid. Trust me, they're stupid. But the audience, what is the audience rating on Spinal Tap? Well, right now, how many reviews does it have? It only has about 250 reviews, but 91%. And James says it doesn't suck. Apparently it goes to 11, so maybe it is worth it. I worried that it was going to be like Zoolander 2 or Dumb and Dumber 2, because I've been very critical of Rob Reiner. Now, while I loved him in the 80s and maybe the early 90s, he kind of hasn't done anything good in 30 years. But maybe this is the exception that breaks the rule. As far as the critics, they give it 67%, so a pretty good score on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you go. Very nice. Very, very nice. So that I would never go see it in the theaters. I hear it's in IMAX. I don't know if I need to see Harry Shearer, Michael McKean, and Christopher Guest in IMAX, but still very cool. So there you go. Let's go see Spinal Tap, TC. Well, yeah, okay. But as long as it's like in our living room. So there you go. Cool. There you go. Very nice. All right. Anything else going on in the chat that I should mention? I don't think so. Just hanging out, keeping it cool up in the feed. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, let's get to the throwdown to the day. Who you got in this matchup? Now, this is kind of iconic because you've got one band that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from 1983 with the album Sports, which sold 10 million copies. And of course, 4 was the follow-up. The album before that was Picture This. But yeah, Sports was the big record. And then actually after Sports, they did The Power of Love for Back to the Future, which I think just celebrated 40 years. So that's crazy, man. Crazy. So September 15th, 1983, little did we know how great this record was going to be, but Huey Lewis and the News released Sports. The Heart of Rock and Roll highlighted it. I Want a New Drug. If This Is It. Walking on a Thin Line. Bad is on there as well. A fantastic record. I don't know if anything could compete with this record, but here comes Marilyn Manson in 1998 on September 15th, and he releases Mechanical Animals. I think we had a copy of this, an OG legit copy of this in the store at some point in the last 6 months. Well, maybe not the last 6 months, the last year. I don't remember what it sold for, but I think we had a copy of this. And yeah, I mean, it's an iconic album cover where he's kind of like a Ken doll or a Barbie doll in some ways. Yeah, I guess he's more of a Barbie doll. It's Marilyn as a Barbie doll in some ways. With no, his crotchal region is very, what would you say? It's very neutral, I guess, in some ways. And then, of course, he's got the boobas. So there you go. Congratulations to Marilyn on the cover of Mechanical Animals. The Dope Show. I do love that song. It is a fantastic song. Rock is Dead is on there as well. I don't like drugs, but the drugs like me. So it's kind of the drug battle here. I want a new drug versus I like drugs, but the drugs like me. So Huey Lewis and Marilyn, they're kind of vibing there, baby. They're kind of vibing. And then, of course, Mechanical Animals on the title track from the record. So I don't know. Who would you pick? Who would you go with as your favorite album? If you had to choose one album to listen to on September 15th, you could never listen to any other album, and it's just one album today. Would you choose Sports or would you choose Mechanical Animals? Of course, you would have 365 albums if we ever complete this in your collection. So, and you could only listen to one each day. The album that came out that day. Actually, coming up on Thursday. No, it's Wednesday. How about this? I think what the matchup on Wednesday is going to be Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 from Guns N' Roses versus No More Tears from Ozzy. So pretty good matchup coming on Wednesday as a little tease there. So me, I love Huey Lewis and the News. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hell, Marilyn Manson should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in my humble opinion. I don't know if that'll ever happen. Probably not, but I think he should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I would go Sports just because I love that record from front to back. It's a great record. Marilyn stuff, the Dope Show, Rock is Dead, both great songs, but I don't know that record as well as I know Sports. So that's what I'm going with. So there you go. Love it or hate it. Boom. Beat after beat going. Huey Lewis and the News. And Jen going Huey Louie as well. Very nice. A little nod to our friend Casey May, who was hanging out with us last night. We had Casey May over, who used to work in the record store. We had Sandy over that used to work in the record store. And then, of course, Amanda that used to work in the record store. Our friend Audrey is in New York, so she was unavailable to attend. But we had a little game night. So we had some Jet Pizza. Out of, you know what's good beat after beat, I found, and I just found it this year, is that Detroit style pizza is pretty damn good when it's good. I've had like Little Caesars before. I just don't care for that. But Jet Pizza, which I know is a franchise, I get it. There's probably some magical places in the Detroit area, the Michigan area, that do just unbelievable Detroit style pizza. I've got to say, I do enjoy Detroit style pizza from Jet Pizza. So we got a lot of Chicago places down here because there's a lot of the population from Chicago that has moved to, I guess, Arizona in some ways to retire or to open businesses. So we're not short on Chicago style pizza here. And the New York pizza is always dominant. What I want to try is, what is it, Connecticut style pizza? I forget. It's the stuff that Davey Page views, Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, his little one bite challenge. You know the rules. He always talks about that as kind of the best pizza in the world. I forget what it's called though. It's I think it's somewhere in Connecticut anyways, but it's one of those cities. So there you go. Beat after beat says he used to work for Little Caesars. Very nice. I used to deliver pizza for Boom 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 Domino's Pizza back in the day. So it's been a while for that. But yeah. So there you go. Beat after beat says Jet Pizza is actually pretty incredible. So boom. Yeah, we had a cheese pizza and then a sausage and pepperoni Jet Pizza last night when the young ladies were over. And then we played some games. We played this one game that Jen got for her birthday, which was, I forget what it was called, Bad Words or Nationwide. I'm Nationwide, I'm Bad or something. I guess that's probably a ZZ Top song, but I digress. All right, so Huey Lewis in the News seems to be the winner, at least at the moment. If you're watching the show later, you want to comment, you can certainly do that. But right now, I'm declaring it right now. Sports, boom, the big winner today over Mechanical Animals from our friends in Marilyn Manson. All right, what else is going on? Some vinyl announcements. I'm going to run through these really quick. This is Hurley from Weezer being reissued. And yes, that's what the album cover looks like. It looks like a CD cover, kind of like that. Just like what was it? System of a Down put out that record, Steal This Record. So there you go. And this is Hurley. I have no idea who that is. Maybe that is the grandson of, what would be it? The grandson. He looks a little Southern, I gotta say. So maybe he's the grandson of Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard, right? I go goo 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 with Roscoe P. Coltrane. Maybe that's how I laugh, Jenny. When I get going laughing, I laugh like Roscoe P. Coltrane. Anyways, and then of course Enos. Let's see if I can name all of the people from the Dukes of Hazzard. Daisy, of course. Uncle Jesse. All right, Uncle Jesse. Bo and Luke Duke. There's probably some cousins that appeared, but I'm not going into the cousins after, the show had kind of jumped the shark in some ways. Let's go a little Waylon Jennings love because of the theme song. Very nice. Of course, Boss Hogg. You got Roscoe P. Coltrane as the sheriff. And then you've got Enos as the deputy. And I don't really remember anybody else. If I had to say, if there was like a modern day version of the Dukes of Hazzard in some ways, I would call it the Gilmore Girls. Think about it. I know Jen is a big fan of the Gilmore Girls, so she's going to be like, what in the wide, wide world of sports are you talking about? But think about it. It's set in kind of this small town community. You got Bo and Luke, which would be Lorelai and Rory. And then you've got kind of their nemesis in some ways, the mother and the father. And then you got Luke, who runs the diner, maybe his Uncle Jesse. And I don't know who Daisy would be. I guess that would be Milo, right? Very nice. And then, so I don't know. Small town America, kind of. One in the South, one in the Northeast. So I don't know. That's the way it was. So, the General Lee, as James says, that was the main star. Indeed. I think I had the General Lee, little small versions of it. You jump, man. I love that opening sequence with Waylon Jennings doing his thing, man. And then Bo and Luke Duke hitting that jump, baby. And in the opening credits. That's what we've lost. We have completely lost the opening credits on shows. Like if you watch Friends in reruns on WTBS or whatever it's called now, I guess that was, I'm dating myself by saying it was WTBS out of Atlanta. If you watch on TBS, it's like they cut the theme song like down to like 12 seconds or something instead of it being 40 seconds. It's just kind of depressing. So there's no Law and Order opening. There's no long opening on that. At least with some of these shows like on HBO, you get the longer opening. And it's been 25 years with The Sopranos, but the Cheers opening was great as well. So many. The MASH opening, very nice. All right, cool. Beat After Beat says Daisy and the General Lee was the main show. Well, come on. Chicks and cars. Can't beat that, right? Very nice. All right. Man of War is reissuing this as the 30th anniversary. This one's going to run you like $55. I've never been into Man of War, but hey, the packaging looks really great. The vinyl looks super cool. So there you go. And then Sinatra. All right, Sinatra. This is Wee Small Hours. This is being reissued as a tone poet on Blue Note. And if you know anything about jazz, Blue Note is the company to go to, and the tone poets are very, very nice. And Sinatra's great. I don't know really any of these Sinatra songs. It's from the late 40s, so it's a little before my time. I'm more of a, I guess, summer wind kind of guy when it comes to Sinatra, which I think was probably more 60s Sinatra than anything. So there you go. All right, 1983 was a hell of a year. I loved it. There are so many albums on this list that I could have included. Let me actually pull that up. 1983 albums. But this is the list I went with. So albums that I left off my list. Synchronicity by The Police. I left off War by U2. That's not the worst thing ever, I suppose. Eliminator from ZZ Top I left off. Peace of Mind from Maiden, I left off. 90125 from Yes, I also left off. Bark at the Moon, I did not make room for that. Quiet Riot, Mental Health, Texas Flood, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Can't Slow Down by Lionel Richie was a great record. Rebel Yell by our friend Billy Idol. And then, of course, you got Lick It Up by Kiss. And is there, Cargo, Men at Work. I know a lot of people love that record. And I forgot that Seven and the Ragged Tiger came out in 83. Oh, this is an embarrassment. All right. I'm making a call here. Did that really come out in 83? Oh my God, how did I miss that? Damn it. Yeah, November 21st, 1983. All right, so I'm making a call. Ronnie James Dio, sorry, buddy. Rest in peace. You're a legend, but you're getting the boot. Spanish Elbow. What is it? No, the Spanish Archer. You're getting the elbow. So I'm moving actually Seven and the Ragged Tiger up to number 2. So Ronnie James Dio, great record. Holy Diver, Rainbow in the Dark, Don't Talk to Strangers was at number 6. Now it's at 7. Metallica, Kill 'Em All. I've got next. Seek and Destroy, Whiplash, Four Horsemen. So good. Their debut record, awesome. Shout at the Devil, my favorite Motley Crue song, or my favorite Motley Crue album. Until I listen to Too Fast for Love, then that becomes my favorite Motley Crue record. But for the sake of argument today, it is my favorite Motley Crue record. Such a great record. Huey Lewis and the News, of course. We talked about that. Sports is fantastic. David Bowie's Let's Dance. You know who plays on that record? Of course, you got Nile Rodgers from Chic, who produced it and played on it. And then you've also got on guitar Mr. Stevie Ray Vaughan. So not too shabby. Let's Dance, Modern Love, China Girl. And then at number 2, and an updated, is actually Seven and the Ragged Tiger from Duran Duran. I always think that is more of like a 1984 record because it came out at the end of 83. So that's probably why it didn't even occur to me. But yes, of course, that had Union of the Snake on it. Love that song. New Moon on Monday, my favorite Duran Duran song. And then, of course, the Reflex, which is the kind of the version that Nile Rodgers remixed. Speaking of Nile Rodgers, boy, he killed it with David Bowie's Let's Dance and Duran Duran's Seven and the Ragged Tiger. So that would actually be number 2 for me, is Seven and the Ragged Tiger. Completely forgot about that one. And then number 1, my favorite album of all time. Let me see if I can name the whole album. Rock, Rock Till You Drop, Photograph, Stage Fright. I'm doing it in order too. Too Late for Love, Die Hard the Hunter, Foolin', Rock of Ages, Coming Under Fire, which is one of the greatest album tracks ever. It is so good. Never released as a single. I think I've already screwed this up, but anyways, Too Late for Love, and then Billy's Got a Gun. So that is my number 1 album of 1983. Do you have a favorite album of 1983 that I did not include on the list because there was a lot? I mean, the Police, Synchronicity, I didn't include that, and that is a fantastic record. But I kind of bleeding a little more rock here, but I couldn't pass up not having David Bowie on the list, because that's my favorite Bowie album by far. But yeah, I mean, King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger, Synchronicity 1 and 2, Every Breath You Take. Oh, I need to redo this list at some point in the future because it's so good. Did I miss anything else? Spandau Ballet with True, or Madonna's first record. Can't believe Madonna's been around that long. Oh, Cuts Like a Knife by Bryan Adams. I forgot that one as well. Good God, I stink. Hootenanny by the Replacements. If Mike Kennedy's hanging out with us, he loves that. Anyway, so there you go. Yeah, 83 was an awesome year indeed. Stevie Ray Vaughan, yeah, Texas Flood. Boom, very nice. Biggest selling record of 1983 actually came out in November 82, which would be Michael Jackson's Thriller. I know the game you're playing, buddy boy. I know the game you're playing. Beat After Beat says the Reflex first single, November 84. Don't know on that. I'm just trusting Wikipedia, and not sure on Wikipedia sometimes, but usually they have that. Usually they have that right. Beat After Beat also says should have replaced it with The Police at number 6. Yeah, I know it's a great record, and yeah, it's just. There's so many great records. I didn't even mention New Order put out a record that year with Power, Corruption, and Lies. I didn't mention the Violent Femmes self-titled that came out. I didn't mention The. Remember The? My God, here's another record I forgot. Journey Frontiers came out in 83. Good God, it was an embarrassment of riches. Us children of the 80s, not only are we the most awesome people in the history of the world, let it be said now and forever, but the music of 1983 was just spot on. It was everything you'd want. You had the metal, you had the Michael Jackson, of course, because the best-selling record of all time, and everything in between. If you wanted Elvis Costello, you could have Elvis Costello. You could have Bob Dylan at that point, still with Infidels. Ah, man, so good. So good. Very nice. Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Beat After Beat also loves the. That's such a great name for a band. The. Anyway, so there you go. Hey, if you're digging the show, I'd appreciate it if you smash the like button, because the like button makes it so the algorithms say, well, damn, we should feed this young person that is so sexy some more of this fabulous content. There you go. If you want to tell a family member or a friend about the show, that'd be cool too. And that's all I got. All right, here comes, and this is probably an easy one. Here comes Name That Tune. I'm going to show you a picture and a famous scene from a movie, and you need to tell me the movie, the name of the song, and who performed that song in this movie. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, obviously you can't see this. So I'm going to describe this. It looks like it's in a upscale, pretty upscale women's clothing store. There was a young lady wearing a hat with her red hair. Keep in mind the red hair, and this is a movie. Back in kind of a ponytail. She looks great. She's wearing a white outfit. She's carrying a bunch of shopping bags and seems to be holding them up in the air. And then there's another woman looking kind of like a dipshit, let's call it what it is. And she's very elegant, very well dressed, but kind of has this, oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Or to quote Gob Bluth from the wonderful show Arrested Development, I've made a huge mistake. So there you go. And that kind of ties into what the other young lady on the left side of the screen, who is very fetching. And there you go. So not too shabby. Beat After Beat says Lady in Red. Lady in Red. Was that a 1983 album as well? I got to look that up. Lady in Red from Chris de Burgh. When did that come out? Wait, that came out in 86? I'm thinking that was like an 1983 song. When did this movie come out that I'm actually quoting here? 1990 it came out. And you know who's in this movie as well? George Costanza is in this movie playing a SOB instead of kind of a dipshit. So there you go. Can you name the movie? Let's see. James, Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. And on Rodeo Drive, Jen says, very nice. And you can probably figure out the name of the movie as well. James didn't say it, but I know he knows it. So there you go. That's it. The name of the movie is, of course, Pretty Woman. This is the scene where she goes shopping and she goes back into the place that kind of turned her out, saying that you can't afford anything in here. Julia Roberts comes back in and says, big mistake, huge, carrying all of her shopping bags. And Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman is playing in the background. Jen says she still quotes this movie. It's a fantastic movie. I love it, And and it corners like it's on rails. After all these years, it corners like it's on rails. At least this movie does, in my humble opinion. So there you go. All right. Duran Duran, as mentioned at the beginning of the show, is going out on tour. They've announced some tour dates on the West Coast of America coming up early next year. Well, actually at the end of this year. Thousand Palms, California on December 30th. Vegas on the 1st and 2nd of January 2026. San Diego on the 4th. On the 5th, they're coming to Phoenix, Arizona to see Jen and I. Very nice. Jen says, I will cut a bitch for tickets to that one. So I'm going to steer clear and make sure that she gets tickets because I don't want any part of that, Jenny. And then Anaheim on the 8th, I believe that is. And then Sacramento, Everybody loves to play Sacramento on January 9th. That is Sacramento, California. So Duran Duran, one of my favorite bands of all time. That would be definitely top 10, maybe top 7, maybe top 6, maybe top 5, somewhere in there. You know, when I go looking for like radio, quote unquote, on Spotify, I'll do like Metallica, I'll do Def Leppard, Van Halen, Queensryche, and then I'll do Duran Duran, and I'll do In Excess. And usually I find some pretty good stuff. Actually, Duran Duran or In Excess radio is actually really good. They play a nice mix of Duran Duran, maybe a little Leopard mixed in there. So it's very, 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 very sexy. All right, what else? Sabaton, who I don't really know. I think they've got a new album coming out. They've announced a tour. Very nice if you're into Sabaton. Or Sabaton. I'm not sure how you say it, but anyways, congratulations to them. And then if you're a big fan of that Mach 2 lineup of Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, and the Circle, or whatever the hell they're called these days, the other half, I don't know what it's called. It's very much of a mix. Going back to Vegas to do some shows March 11th through the 21st and September 18th through the 26th in Vegas. It's 11 shows in total, Dolby Live at the Park MGM. So Sammy Hagar rebooting again. And Sammy, by that time, I believe will be 78 years old. Let me see. Is that right? I don't think he's probably going to tour anymore. He's probably just going to do the Vegas thing and the Cabo thing as well down there in Cabo St. Lucas. Yeah. So he, on October 13th this year, he will turn 78, which means by the time next year comes around, Sammy will be close to turning 79. We're getting old, man. We're getting old. That's right. So there you go. All right. I appreciate Beat After Beat hanging out with us today. As always, very nice. You are the best, my friend. Jen, fancy. Duran Duran all the way. And then James hanging out with us as well in the chat. And yeah, there you go. You, Me, and Dupree. Wasn't that a Owen Wilson movie? I think it was something like that. Anyway, so there you go. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Big show is in the books. Of course, we are live every Monday through Friday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you can join us, great. If you want to watch back on the mighty YouTube or Facebook at your convenience, I understand. And that is 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, you can find the show on YouTube and Facebook, as mentioned. Spotify, audio and video podcasts, and then, of course, Apple Podcasts. So not too shabby. This has been Rock This Town Live. What have we learned today? We have learned that Google is in trouble. Google search is just for old people at this point. Young people don't use Google search for the most part. That's what we learned from the Google Trends, saying that country and rock are still really popular in the U.S. It's pop music, but it is what it is. We also learned that Huey Lewis and the News is Sports is the best album released in the history of the world on September 15th today, beating out in second place Marilyn Manson's great record, Mechanical Animals. And then we also learned that the best album of 1983 was, oh yeah, there it is, baby, Def Leppard's Pyromania. I probably should have had the Police Synchronicity in there. I probably should have had like 15 more albums in there, to be honest. Definitely Seven and the Ragged Tiger from Duran Duran, which I completely forgot about. Bark at the Moon, Journey Frontiers. Oh my God. Anyways, the list goes on. So that's what we learned, though still Pyromania, the number one album. And that's the way it will always be. And then we also learned that Jen will do anything within reason for Duran Duran tickets coming out as they're coming to Phoenix early next year. So that is the big show. And I appreciate you hanging out with us.